fishing and other natural resource rights, although it has been dealt with in court. Internally, most conflicts also stem from land use, land ownership, and administration. Conflicts around the land in the region also vary from country to country, depending on the context, and some of them are reduced through dialogues woven around the laws of each member state and the traditional mechanisms. One thing remains the same, though, in that land is a source of power, wealth, identity for the state, community, and individuals. It implicates the land tenure system historically, and land reforms in Ethiopia. It has gone through so many land reforms, Sudan, South Sudan, Uganda as well. When governments take over land from society for developmental projects, the background is usually, it arises with the background usually around land use, yet the community and individuals prioritize ownership, land ownership. I want to share with you one of the research that I personally carried out in 2009 in northern Uganda, where I come from. The community, as we have heard, many of them own customary land. And one of the elders in Pabo told me that the customary land that they have, the land is a property for the dead and the unborn. For those who are alive, they are only caretakers of the land. So if you come, it is for the dead and the unborn. I've documented this in this book. I will dedicate the 3 books, one to Chigamoy, one to the Vice President, and one to the Minister Judith, for you to read these books. So therefore, we have land tenure system, which is a problem. Along the line, we have gender, which, of course, they have suffered a lot, refugees and internally displaced people. The refugees and internally displaced people have not only been evicted from land and barred from exploiting natural resources. Refugees and IDPs, they have issues that have implicated economic, social, environmental governance, and security configuration for early warning. Women make up a very large section of the landless community, despite relying widely on it to sustain families. Customary norms in many member states are restrictive laws that inhibit women from owning land. Women, girls, and the elderly are living at the margins of the society today with alarming conditions of inequality, insecurity, and injustice. There are rising land-related conflicts and crimes, increasing intimate partners violence, growing human rights violations of women workers, and discriminatory laws that pose significant and ongoing risk to women and children. Squatters, those who are having like squatter-related issues from land conflicts, a battle between legal owners and those living in the area without proper documentation, and have been reminded to eat and go. This is very apparent in Kenya, apparent in South Sudan, apparent in Somalia, and also some parts of Ethiopia. Land governance issues, especially those that have generated conflicts, are legally challenging. The legal owners of land have been people with proximity to power and wealth. These legal challenges are confronted with rampant cases implicating murder, boundary conflicts, and influential individuals, accumulation of land through illicit practices and abuse of power, ownership due to lack of land registration, and land ownership between the state and province owners, private owners. Land issues have been noted, politicized, and militarized, especially when it comes to the eviction process. With all this, the heightened disgruntlement of affected people results in violent confrontations. The absence of clear property rights, climatic distortions, and social norms have also perpetrated cattle rustling, for example, in the 70% of the IGAD region. The absence of clearly defined sharing rights regarding proceeds from natural resources has perpetuated conflict in the region, which are sources of conflict over natural resources. The effects of overlapping property rights are inherently inefficient in resource utilization, especially open and common property resources. There is a likelihood of suboptimal investment that is undermining economic growth, and hindering job creation. These have created persistent and increasing poverty and income inequality. The privatization of land in the region signifies emerging conflict, especially where external investors showed interest. Though the process is legal and the state is working within its rights, discontent arising from allocating large pieces of land to foreigners, investors could inform conflict. I would like also to get into youth unemployment, which is part and parcel of what we see is going to give us problems in terms of land conflicts. Youth unemployment, I will quote only figures from the different countries of IGAD.